So, just a quick background here, because a lot of you who are joining this are probably newer to the Zyxel family. So, a little background: Zyxel Networks. We've been around for over 30 years. Um, I guess it's over 35 years probably now. We got started all the way back in 1989. Our U.S. operations also started at that point, based out of the Anaheim area, and that is where we are still sitting today. We've got 100 million devices deployed out in the field, and we do serve 150 different global markets. Our Anaheim location, that is our U.S. headquarters. It's our warehouse. It's our sales. It's our marketing team. It's also our tech support. So when you do call in to get tech support, provided it's during our U.S. business hours, you are talking to a Zyxel employee based out of our Anaheim location. We do not outsource the tech support to third parties. We don't outsource it to India or the Philippines. So you are talking to somebody here. If you call outside of our hours, you may get our German offices. And I think at certain hours, sometimes the Taiwanese offices will join in to help people out outside of our U.S. operating hours. But you are always dealing with a Zyxel employee. So one area that causes some confusion here is Zyxel Networks, which is who I work for, is under the Zyxel group, and we have a number of different sister companies. And the one that causes the most confusion here is we have a sister company called Zyxel Communications. And in the US, we generally just use the term Zyxel Communications for everything. So that is our sister company that focuses on the telco ISP space. So their focus over the years has been CPE products, so customer premise equipment. So that's things like DSL, cable modems, things like that, that a telco installs in somebody's homes when they buy internet service. We've also got some other products there, COE equipment, certain types of switches and things like that. Although those are not as heavily pushed here in North America as they are in other places in the country or other places in the world. So obviously the names cause some confusion there. So you may have run into some people at a trade show and they had no idea what you were talking about when you brought up Nebula or some of our switches or things like that. And that's why they are the ISP side of things. We at Zyxel Networks, we're focused on SMB networking. So more of your traditional IT deployed products, things like switches, firewalls, security gateways, access points, etc. And obviously, especially in this day and age, there's a little bit of overlap there. We're seeing a lot of MSPs moving into the ISP space. We're seeing a lot of ISPs move into the MSP space. So we do have access to those ISP products, although you may not find them loaded up at distribution. And the business model is a little bit different over there and sometimes causes a little bit of headaches. But if you do need those products, we probably can get them for you. The other one I just wanted to highlight here is Mitristar. So Mitristar is our manufacturing arm. They operate factories in Taiwan, China, and I believe they're opening up or have just opened up some factories in Thailand as well. So that's where not all of our products are manufactured, but a good chunk of our products are manufactured by our sister company there, Mitristar. Okay, so that's it as far as background on Zyxel goes. So if you we'll go ahead and get started here talking about Nebula. So what is Nebula? So Nebula is our cloud-hosted management platform. We've actually had this available since 2016. We were the first company to create this sort of cloud management platform that was aimed at the SMB space. Back then, Netgear didn't have anything, D-Link didn't have anything, TP-Link didn't have anything. It was just us and then enterprise solutions, particularly Cisco Meraki. And in fact, Meraki is who inspired us to do this. We saw what Meraki was offering to people and said, hey, that's great. Our customers would love something like that, but at a much more affordable cost. And that's how we got about to Nebula here. So these days, Nebula supports over 150 different products. It gives you a single pane of glass and a single place to go to manage all of your customers and all of your Zyxel Networks equipment. And the general idea behind cloud management is to take all of this stuff that goes into setting up and deploying a new customer network and then maintaining that network and either eliminating or drastically reducing the amount of effort that goes into setting up and configuring that type of stuff for you. So we'll start going through some of the features here of Nebula itself. So one of the cool features here is you can completely configure your products without having to take them out of the box. Um, Basically, all of our products have a QR code either on the belly label or on the outside of the box or both. You scan that in with the Nebula mobile app. You assign that device to a customer and a site, and you've got full access to configure it. At no point do you need to take the hardware itself out of the box. You don't need to put it into cloud mode. You don't need to point it at a cloud somewhere or tell it what server is going to be managing it. It's good to go. So your installer just needs to know how to plug it in and make sure it has power and an internet connection, and our hardware itself will do the rest. Nebula also includes a number of different tools, templates, and other features that make it easy to set up and get a network up and running. One of the demos I used to do back when I used to do a lot more traveling was we would create a customer account and set up an access point with two different wireless networks, a private network and a public network. And I could do the entire demo in under 5 minutes from registration to finish of an actual broadcasting access point. I saw somebody raise their hand. I don't know if that was just a late delay, but if you do have any questions, send them in with the chat or Q&A. So to use Zyxel Nebula here, there's nothing else you need. You just need to buy Zyxel Nebula compatible hardware. There's no software you need to load on a virtual machine somewhere or on a local thing. There's no cloud keys. There's nothing like that. The agent itself is built into all of the Nebula, Zyxel Nebula compatible hardware, and the Nebula cloud itself is hosted by us using AWS servers. So with Nebula, to access your customer sites, all you need to do is go to nebula.zyxel.com, log in with your Zyxel account, and all of your customers, all of their networks, all of their hardware is right there for you to manage or check up on. So Nebula has a built-in user management built into it. So you don't need to necessarily set up your own Radius server or Active Directory server to do user authentication. You can use our cloud-hosted database to do, WPA enterprise authentication. You can use it for the guest captive portal. You can use it for other types of 802.1x authentication. Guest access is really easy. So if you've got, a customer who's setting up a sort of public hotspot, whether it's for the general public or whether it's for visiting accounts coming to visit them, it's really easy to set up. The full functionality of sort of a captive portal and public hotspot is built into our access points. So even if they're not using our gateway, it's not going to be a problem. Our access points have that captive portal function built in. And we've got a lot of flexibility with how you do that. So you can have people agree to a terms of service page. You can have them log in with a username and password you provide them. You can have them log in with Facebook. You can have them register their own account, or you can always point that captive portal to a server you run somewhere and have it capture whatever data you want it to capture before passing it back to Nebula for the authentication. In addition to the traditional way of doing a guest network where you stick them on their own VLAN. If you've got a customer that doesn't have a fully VLAN aware network, we've got a number of tools that still allow you to deploy a public network that's isolated from the company work network. We've got the ability to do what is called layer 2 isolation, where it will block any outbound traffic from wireless clients, except to those MAC addresses that you have added to a whitelist. We also have the ability on the access point to do a NAT directly on the access point. So the access point for specific SSIDs will put them on their own unique subnet separate from the corporate network to provide another level of isolation. So when it comes to Nebula, all configuration, all firmware updates are done through the Nebula cloud and then pushed out to the units. So there's no point where you need to log in directly to the units themselves. It's all done through the cloud. On the access point side of things, we do support mesh. And this is something that we've had for quite a while. You might remember, for those of you that have been doing this for a long time like me, you might remember when Ruckus first came out, they did a big push, and their big marketing push was behind the Ruckus mesh. And business mesh sort of faded away. Now with Wi-Fi 7 and the ability to do MLO or multi-link operation on a mesh, I think it reopens up the ability of doing mesh in a business environment, being able to provide the bandwidth and latency and just reliability that are that have been lacking and been keeping businesses from using mesh in a more business type environment. So that's there now, but that's there. It's easy. You just enable it and it's good to go. When it comes to our wireless networks, we of course support WPA Enterprise. We also support industry standards like 802.11 RK and V for assisted and faster roaming. On the switch side of things, we give you the ability to virtually stack your switches so you can configure ports across multiple switches simultaneously through one interface, one at a time, or one at one time, rather than having to go port by port. We give you nice, easy visual telling you what's going on in your ports. You can see which Ethernet ports are plugged in, the speed of those connections, whether or not PoE is being drawn through them. And we give you a number of troubleshooting tools and visualization tools to see what's going on your Ethernet switches. On the security side of things, still sticking with the switches, we give you the ability to do 802.1x authentication. We have a user-friendly ACL set up there, and we have a number of just handy networking features built in, such as Loop Guard, DHCP Guard to make sure somebody doesn't plug in their own DHCP server on the network, etc. And so Nebula itself, what is this going to cost you to use Nebula? And the answer is nothing. Nebula itself is free. There is no limit on the number of devices that you can manage in the free version of Nebula. There is no limit to the number of customers or sites you can manage in the free version of Nebula. And this is something that sets us apart from all the other solutions that are out there. Most solutions require pay, and if they have a free tier, the free tier is usually extremely limited to the number of devices or sites that you can manage with the free version. Or the free version is designed really for managing, internal companies. So you can manage your company's devices, but it's not designed for those of you that are managing lots of other companies' networks. And Nebula is from the ground up. Now, Nebula does offer some additional licenses, which unlock additional features, and I will talk about those here in a few minutes. So let's talk about the term Nebula Flex. So when we first launched Nebula back in 2016, we copied the Cisco Meraki way of doing things. So if you wanted to use cloud management, you bought Nebula products. If you didn't want to use cloud management, you bought Zyxel products. We no longer do that. Everything these days, or just about everything these days we put out, gives you the flexibility of either using it in traditional standalone mode or using it in Nebula Cloud Management. So if you're old school and you want to manage it, through SSH or through the built-in web interface, you can do that, or you can choose to manage this in the cloud. It's either or. So that way you're not having to buy and keep track of two different sets of hardware. You can standardize on devices and use them both for those customers that will be cloud managed and those that won't. Now, the way it works, out of the box, all of our hardware is in standalone mode. If you would like to manage that device in Nebula, all you do is scan that QR code and assign the device in the Nebula cloud to a customer in the site. Once you have done that, our standalone mode will see that you now want to manage it in the cloud, and it will automatically reboot into cloud management mode and will download a new configuration from whatever you've defined in the cloud. And if at any point you decide you no longer want to manage that device in the cloud, for instance, you've pulled it out of one customer, you're sticking it back in your lab for some testing, or you're providing it to another customer that you're not cloud managing, it's really easy. You just go into the Nebula interface, remove it from your Nebula inventory, and the device will automatically factory reset itself and reboot up into standalone mode. Now, this is really important here. This is an area that causes some confusion. Your configuration in the cloud and your configuration in standalone mode are not linked. They aren't ported back and forth between the two. So when you put it into cloud mode, it downloads the configuration from the cloud, overriding whatever you may have configured locally. And when you put it back into local management mode, it loses its cloud configuration and goes back to factory default. So just keep that in mind. So when it comes to licensing, we've got a couple of different licenses that are available in Nebula. So Base Pack is what we call the free version of Nebula, and that's what all of our devices support out of the box. Pro Pack is our most popular optional license if you're going to buy an optional license. And we'll talk a little bit here about what it unlocks. Plus Pack is something we came out with a few years ago that was designed to compete with some of the lower end um, cloud management platforms from companies like Netgear. We don't sell a lot of these, so I'm not going to really put a lot of focus on it. My experience is most people are happy with the base version, but if you do need some additional features, you normally jump straight to Pro Pack bypassing Plus. Plus is in sort of a that middle ground that not a lot of people have much interest in, but it is there for those of you that do want it. As a ballpark thing here, Plus Pack costs you $12 or so per device per year. Pro Pack costs you around $30 per device per year. So for Plus and Pro Pack, you do the upgrades. And I think I've got a slide here on it. I can't remember my I can't see my future slides for some reason, but just to cover it really quick. Oh, wait, there we go. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, so we will cover it on the next slide. So I'm just going to bypass that. Can I go back? There we go. These are done on a per org basis. So every device in an organization needs to have a license before that features kick in. We also have what's called the MSP pack, and this is a license that we sell that's a per user license, and it unlocks additional features for that particular user. So it's a license you buy that unlocks features for specific admin accounts. You only need to buy it for admin accounts that you want to have access to those features. You don't need to buy it for all of your admin accounts. So traditionally, if a company is going to be buying the MSP pack, they buy one or two, three, something like that for the heads of their support team. It's not usually bought for the entire support team. So going on here, let's talk a little bit about how Nebula is structured, especially when it comes to these licenses. So in Nebula, you have an account owner, and that's by default whoever creates an organization in Nebula. So one account owner can have an unlimited number of organizations. And then under those organizations are different sites. So usually what you're doing when you are setting up Nebula for your customers, each one of your customers is going to be their own organization. And then you have the sites under that. So if you're managing 3 different customers, you'll have 3 different organizations in Nebula. And I think a question just came in. David, I will get to your question here in just a second because it's a little bit of a detour for me. So I'll cover it a little bit later in the presentation for you. So when it comes to licensing here, every device under an organization needs to have a Plus or Pro Pack license in order for that organization to convert from the free version to the Plus or Pro Pack level features. So you can't do it like if you need the Pro Pack features just for a couple access points, you still have to buy the Pro Pack or Plus licenses for every device under that organization. But not all of your organizations. So you can have a mix of organizations, some of which are free versions, some of which are pro, some of which are plus, etc. And then again, the MSP license is for an admin account. So it unlocks those features for that admin user across all organizations underneath that admin user for that admin user. I don't have any slides going into the breakdown of the MSP features. I don't think so, at least. I am sorry, I am being scatterbrained today, and no, I don't. But it unlocks some additional MSP type features, as the name implies, giving you access to tools such as the ability to create admin teams. So instead of needing to add and remove admins to individual customers, you can create teams and then add those customers to teams. It gives you the ability to modify settings across multiple customers at the same time. It gives you the ability to get email push notifications when devices go offline for all accounts, not just those that are Plus or Pro Pack, and some other cool features like that. So moving forward here, when you're looking at our hardware, some of our hardware will be advertised as Nebula Flex. Some of our hardware is advertised as Nebula Flex Pro. The only difference between those two is Nebula Flex is Nebula compatible, Nebula Flex Pro, Nebula compatible, and includes a 1-year Pro Pack license bundled with the device. So that's just it, whether or not a 1 year ProPack license is bundled with that product. So as a general rule, all of our NWA access points are Nebula Flex. All of our 1900 series switches are Nebula Flex. All of our W series access points are Nebula Flex Pro. All of our 2000 series, 3000 series, 1300 series switches, those are Nebula Flex Pro. And then when it comes to our security appliances, if you buy it and it comes bundled with a UTM license or a gold security license, that includes the Pro Pack. If you buy just the standalone version, it doesn't. So now we'll talk about some of the features and differences here between what comes with the free version of Nebula and what comes with Pro Pack. So all of them give you access to our cloud management platform. All of them give you access to our mobile device. All of them give you zero touch deployment, firmware management, firmware scheduling through the website, access to all of the core features of the hardware itself. Those are all, included across all of them. So some of the differences here, and I'm just going to focus on ProPack, comes to log storage. So the free version of Nebula only keeps 24 hours worth of logs stored in the cloud. You can always export those to a syslog server so if you want to keep more. But by upgrading to ProPack, we will store a year's worth of logs in the cloud for you. When it comes to admin accounts, free version of Nebula gives you 5 admin accounts for each organization. ProPack gives you an unlimited number of admin accounts for each organization. When it comes to our cloud-hosted user authentication database, 50 entries in the free version of Nebula, unlimited entries with ProPack. And again, if you're using the free version and you need more than 50, you can always set up your own Radius authentication server. This is just if you want to use our cloud-hosted database for doing the authentication. Some other features that you get with ProPack, which are not in the free version of Nebula, include advanced firmware scheduling, the ability to create different schedules for individual devices or for individual classes of devices, the ability to automatically generate and email reports either to your team or to your customers and include your branding in those emails. That's a ProPack feature. ProPack gives you the ability to automatically generate a network topology printout and giving you some management functionality through that topology. That is a ProPack feature. Email alerts when devices go offline. That's a ProPack feature. The ability to synchronize settings across different sites and to clone settings across sites. That's a ProPack feature. Access to our artificial intelligence tools, particularly those for IPTV and Wi-Fi network management. Those are ProPack features. And then our 1350 series of switches have some additional features in them that are only available through ProPack. So there is a much more detailed version of these 2 slides that's available through our website that breaks down a lot of the feature differences. So if you're interested in that, you can find it yourself on our website or just reach out to your salesperson and he can email it to you. So it's just showing you here some of the additional features here. So with ProPack, you get access here to that network topology view I was talking about here. Giving you a nice, easy way to see, what devices are plugged into which other devices, which users are connected to which devices, etc. DPPSK is something that's part of ProPack. Now, a key thing to point out here is DPPSK does not work with Wi-Fi 7. DPPSK was sort of a hack. It wasn't an intended part of a WPA. It was something people found you could do with the way WPA2 was implemented. WPA3 has plug those holes. So just be aware that if you want to use DPPSK, you do need to use Wi-Fi 6 or earlier to be able to do that. As I mentioned, we do have artificial intelligence, machine learning, whatever name you want to call it, that can help you out when it comes to monitoring wireless users, letting you know when some of those users are having connectivity issues, and even automatically making configuration changes to your wireless network to solve those issues. Let's keep going through here. On the security side of things, we do have a number of tools that make it easier for you to do VPN. So if you're creating site-to-site VPNs, it's really easy to do. You just choose the sites that need to be connected. You choose the topology, and we handle all of the other configuration for you. We also have the ability to send out email scripts for remote users that can automatically configure Windows, Mac OS, and iOS devices to use their built in VPN to connect back to our USG Flex security devices. And Nebula itself integrates in with our Secu Reporter tools. So it's really easy to go from the Nebula interface over to the Secu Reporter if you're looking for those more in-depth security reports, and then back from Secu Reporter back into Nebula. So you're not having to, travel to open up different windows and type in URLs. You can just easily jump back and forth between the two. So I want to cover some of the questions we have here that we tend to get a lot of in Nebula. So we'll go through these here. So Nebula itself, the cloud hosted part, that is hosted by us. So there's nothing you need to host, and we do not allow you to set up your own unique private Nebula. It is hosted by us. It's not designed for you to host on your own equipment. So it is hosted by Amazon AWS. So generally one of the most reliable cloud hosters out there. We have had some hiccups. There's been two cases that I'm aware of some hiccups over the last few months with Amazon AWS. So a good question we get is, well, what happens when AWS goes down, or what happens when my customer's fiber gets cut and they lose access to the cloud? And the answer to that is everything just continues to work as it has been working. Obviously, if they can't reach the cloud, you can't make any configuration changes, and we aren't storing any logs during that period, but everything else will continue to run indefinitely. And it's not like some of the other cloud hosted solutions out there where if they aren't able to tag the cloud within a certain period of time, to verify licenses and things like that, that the device, the hardware goes offline. Not so with us. It'll just keep working. And if you need to, you can always factory reset the devices and manage them in local management mode. So we get a lot of questions when it comes to scalability. Because it's Amazon AWS, we just automatically scale. So no matter how many devices your customer has, no matter how many customers you have, it will scale for you. There is no tier where you hit a certain number of users and you have to pay for extra performance for that. When it comes to the security itself, we use an industry standard called NetConf, NETCONF, and that's what handles the encryption and authentication of the Nebula devices with the Nebula cloud. So you don't have to, trust that we've created something in-house and that it's good security. We are using industry standards to handle that. And in North America here, we get a lot of questions about HIPAA and PCI. So yes, using Nebula Cloud should have no effect on getting your solution PCI certified or to be used as part of a HIPAA compliant solution. And the reason for that's pretty straightforward. Local traffic stays on the local network. Internet traffic goes directly out to the internet. None of your users' data is hitting or connecting to our servers. The only thing that's going back and forth to our servers is configuration changes and the logs from the devices themselves. And for those of you that are also doing business in Europe, we are fully GDPR compliant there as well. So just as kind of a summary here for you, benefits of Nebula, it's easy to set up and use. You literally just go to nebula.zyxel.com, log in, and set up any customers you want to manage and scan in the hardware you want to manage with the Nebula Cloud. Don't have to worry about, setting up port forward, setting up VPNs for remote management. Everything's just there for you at nebula.zyxel.com. And it's extremely affordable for the type of service you're getting. Like I said, most of our customers are using the free version of Nebula. But if you do need some of the extra features that ProPack offers, it is very affordable compared to other similar solutions that are out there in the market. So if you are interested in Nebula, it's really easy to test it out yourself. Just go to nebula.zyxel.com, and at the bottom of the login page, there is a live demo button. You hit that and it will take you over to a number of different live demo sites that we've got that you can play around with. You obviously can't change or edit that because these are live real sites that are using Nebula, but you can play around with the interface. You can check the logs. You can see how that works. And then if you're here, you're probably already joined our partner program for resellers. So if you are part of that reseller program, you can reach out and we can hook you up with a 60-day demo kit, where we'll send you some hardware to test out and play with for free for 60 days. And then at the end of the 60 days, you can keep it and we'll sell it to you at a really steep discount, or you can return it to us after having played with it. And then lastly, just to let you guys know, we do have a YouTube channel. It is Zyxel America channel. Now, there's a lot of different Zyxel YouTube channels because we're a global company. Each region kind of does their own thing. So the US one is Zyxel America channel. All of our webinars are posted there within about 24 hours of having done the webinar. So if you've missed one of our webinars, or you'd like to share something, that you've seen in today's webinar, you can find it at our YouTube channel there. In addition to that, we have video case studies, new product announcements, best practices videos, so all sorts of stuff there for you. So with that done, I'm going to go ahead and open the floor up to any questions. Again, you can use chat or Q&A to send in any questions. David had a question for me. So he said they're using a USG Flex 50AX. What options do we have for support? We would like to switch over to Nebula, but it sounds like we would have to start over with it. So just general support, just to hit this, just with Zyxel. Tech support is free at Zyxel. There are no service plans. We offer no upgrades. We provide free tech support for the life of the product, free firmware updates for the life of the product. I think in this case, though, you're more asking about switching over to managing the device in Nebula. And unfortunately, too much is different in the configurations to make it easy to port the configuration from standalone mode over to cloud mode. So unfortunately, if you do want to take a device that's already being managed standalone mode and want to move it over to Nebula, you unfortunately are going to have to redo the configuration in the Nebula interface. So if you are going to do that, the first step would be to back up your configuration that you've got. So if for any reason you decide you no longer want to use Nebula, or you can't make Nebula work, you can just simply restore the old configuration if you put it back into standalone mode. So do that. But yeah, unfortunately, you are going to have to reconfigure the device in Nebula. There's no way around that. And that looks like there are no other questions coming in. My email is up there on the screen, seanr@zyxel.com. Or you can always reach out with any questions to your salesperson. But I'm going to go ahead and end today's webinar. But if something does come up, you can email me or just reach out to your salesperson. And they can always loop in me or Try or our sales engineer, Marcus, if needed, if they don't know the answer to the question. Thank you for joining us today, and I hope I see you at one of our future webinars. And just as a reminder, I do have that Nebula tips and trick webinar, I believe, coming up in February. For those of you looking for a little bit more in-depth going over some of the features in Nebula. Thank you for joining me.